All right, welcome everybody. This is class 1 of the webinar for New Paradigm Astrology. Let's learn astrology. So somebody asked if this was a basic course. It is pretty basic. And that being said, it never hurts to hear this stuff over and over and over again. You never get it the first time around. It's also like a transmission. So it's just coming and you just let it wash over you. You don't need to necessarily try to memorize and remember everything that I say. You may have heard a lot of what I said already, and you may already know everything that I'm saying. And you just hear it again and it goes a little deeper, hooks in a little deeper, and so, you know, it's good. And even though it's a beginning class, you may actually hear 1 or 2 things that you've never heard before. And that could make the whole thing worthwhile. So, you know, if you get totally bored, I think you can always turn it off and go someplace else. Okay, so this class is really about I'm very excited about this because I would love, there's like 70 people signed up, and I would love to have 70 more astrologers on planet Earth working with astrology. Astrology is amazing. It has totally changed and transformed my life, and I know that it has changed and transformed many people's lives. I see it as a path, an evolutionary path towards awakening, towards enlightenment, however you define that. One way that I define that is that it opens up my heart. It gets me past judgment. It gets me outside my mind. And it does this, number 1, by looking out at the evening sky, at the night sky, looking at the stars, looking at the planets, and being in a state of awe, a state of wonder at creation and at the infinite intelligence that has put this whole creation together. When I look at the night sky, I feel like I am looking at the face of the Creator. It's absolutely awe-striking. And then to actually be able to use these planets and stars, it's basically an external, objective validation of my inner experience. So there's been many times in my life when I have felt like I'm going nuts. Just kidding. But, you know, something happens, something goes on, something goes down, and you're like, whoa, what's going on? And then you look at your chart and you look at the transits, and it's like, oh, wow, yeah, no wonder. Well, that fits into that. And, of course, that happened, you know, 7 years ago when Saturn was square, and now it's the same theme reappearing and coming back again. And so, you know, there is this validation. There's this, and it helps to calm you down. It helps to center you, and it also helps to give even deeper understanding of the event, of the occurrence, of whatever feeling, emotion, interaction, relationship. It gives you another perspective. Astrology ties all different kinds of things together. Yeah? So, you know, it's, you know, you get a house or a sign, and it, you know, ties together, you know, sex and love and other people's money and inheritance and insurance companies and corporations. Guess that sign. Okay, but you know, it's like, you know, other people who aren't into astrology would not necessarily correlate or make that connection. So you end up also using astrology to be connecting all different aspects, all different, you know, elements of life. And another thing that astrology has done is helped me, like I said, to open my heart. I really feel like the evolutionary path is opening the heart. Getting out of an egoic state of separation and into a heart space of unity. And it really does that for me, it's helped me get over a lot of judgment. Because you may have judgments about people. Let's face it, we all do have judgments about people. In fact, we all have judgments about everyone, including ourselves. Okay, that goes without saying, all right? So we all have these judgments, but, you know, like, oh, geez, so-and-so is such an asshole. I can't stand them, you know? And then you look at their chart, and you go, wow, that poor bastard. You know, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Everybody has a Saturn, okay? Everybody has a 12th house. Everybody has shit to deal with, okay? And astrology really helps you to see and have compassion and have understanding for what somebody is dealing with. And as such, it can open this space of heart, of love and compassion and understanding, and of course gratitude. Let's get into the higher vibrations here, you know. So these are the causes, reasons, purposes for getting into astrology. I hope that this course inspires you to pursue this study and to bring astrology alive into the world and to your people and to your tribe, to create a greater understanding and acceptance of each other as all frail, mortal human beings. It's great. I watched that movie, The Immortal, last night or the other night. No. Oh! Anyway, love Greek mythology. So, that being said then, we want to further into, oh yes, and so the last thing that I want to say before we really get going here is, if you're participating in this, I gave you the website of astro.com, and maybe I'll give assignments, give homework. My homework for you right now is, if you're going to participate in this, I want you to have at least 10 charts. I want you to be looking at 10 charts. Find 10 people in your life, mom, dad, brother, sister, daughter, children, friends, husbands, spouses, whatever. Get 10 charts. The way that you learn this is by doing the charts of all your friends and all your neighbors and looking at this and looking at that. It's like, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Get it out of the theoretical and into the real, into the practical as ASAP, okay? So you can go to astro.com, you start, just start going around to people. What time were you born? I know your birthday. Give me the time. Give me the place. We're going to get down. Okay. Don't get too pushy about it, Serge. No. Okay, so, very good. So what we're going to be doing now, the outline for this seminar is, the idea was to spend the first 3 sessions going through the 12 mystery schools, the 12 signs. Okay, so that's, I'm going to try to do, 4 signs. Okay, today we'll get 4 signs. We'll do basically, we'll see how it goes. Do 4, 4, and 4. So, that gives us a certain amount of time for each sign. And then I set 2 more for the planets, and then another one for the houses. And then the last 2 webinars, we'll take the signs, the planets, the houses, and we'll put them together into chart analysis. And, of course, there's no way that this is, well, let's not say that, but you want to also, the other thing that you can use astrology for is developing your intuition. Not only does it validate your inner experience, but it is a path towards cultivating and relying upon your intuition. So though these classes may not give you enough factual information, and we can't say that you are an official astrologer, okay, by the time you are done with this class or whatever, it's a takeoff point, it's a starting point, and you also trust and feel into each one of these signs, planets, and houses yourself and cultivate that intuition. So I do expect and plan on doing, this is like a part 1. I want to do a part 2 that's going to deal with progressions, solar arc directions, transits, okay, and then a part 3 that's going to deal more with, I'm going to continue these webinar series, probably in 8-week sections, just to break it up. But so this will be the first part of a multiple series. Okay, so it's not all that you're going to get, and then we'll probably do more interaction as the numbers go down in the advanced classes. We'll email and I'll do whatever. So just so you know, this is not just all that there is. There's going to be more information and more coming besides this first part. So now to look at the chart. We basically just want to say, number 1, that we're dealing with the signs, and I sent you all a horoscope interpretation guide. Some of you know this already, some of you don't. I'm going to be speaking to everyone as if they don't know anything. But on that horoscope interpretation guide, basically, there were the 4 elements: fire, earth, air, and water across the top, and down the side, cardinal, fixed, mutable. We have 12 mystery schools, 12 signs of the zodiac, and each one of these has their own unique mystery, their own perception, their own angle of looking at the El Mundi, the external objective reality. And so they each hold their own secrets, their own treasure, their own gems, their own jewels. And so that we take that 12 nights of the round table, 12 months of the year. It's an ancient sacred number, 12 tribes of Abraham. It is 3 times 4. And that 3 times 4 is the modalities, the modes, and the 4 elements. So we start with fire. Fire rises up, burns, transforms things, whether it's oil or wood or whatever is burning, it transforms it, it changes it, and leaves ashes or some other residue behind. But fire sweeps in and changes. It rises up. It lights up. It's illumination. It's yang, masculine energy that wants to radiate out. So fire and air are masculine, earth and water are feminine. I'm going to get too hot here. I can see that coming. Okay. So, yeah, so we got the fire. Yeah, I mean, you know fire. You get pissed off. You get angry. That's fire. Okay? You know, you exercise. You sweat. Okay? That's fire. It's heat. Okay? You get a fever. You know, you're burning up inside. It's fire. We know the element of fire. I don't need to explain all this stuff. Feel it. Know it. You see it. You know it already. We're just giving words to it. Okay? Earth. Duh. Pound the table. Earth, you know, it's solid, as solid as we experience solid to be. Okay? It's heavy. It condenses. It stays still. Okay, it's very, very secure and stable, as secure and stable as anything gets on planet Earth in this third dimension. This Earth is predictable, reliable, it hangs in there, okay? It creates nature. It is what we bump up against outside of ourselves. So this Earth is very practical, very third dimensional, very real, very here, very tangible, deals with the 5 physical senses. Earth, you know the Earth, we have a physical body. Air. You're full of hot air, man. You're blowing hot air. The wind, okay? The pollen flies through the wind, okay? You know, it pollinates, it basically, you know, fertilizes, okay? It is a way of communicating, of bringing new ideas, of connecting different things together. It's very changeable, especially in Chinese astrology. The air is change. So the air is, you know, here one day, gone tomorrow. You know, change, 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 change. Also, very intellectual, okay? Upper chakras, dealing with, like we say, communication, talking, thinking, sharing, networking, technology, you know, all these means and ways, you know, the iPhone and, you know, this webinar thing that's going on. This is all these airy, airy, airy things that connect us all together, verbally, intellectually, using our communication. Yeah. Okay. And that also is yang, masculine, the air. The earth we can see is heavy, dense, inner, feminine, and water. Again, water seeks the lowest level, okay? It goes down, it seeps in. It is the soft, squishy, whooshy. It makes things soft and squishy and fertile. Water, you know, the source of all life. They say that we crawled out of the primordial oceans. So, you know, these water is the feeling, it's the emotion, it's the inner intuition. Both fire and water have to deal a lot with intuition. Fire is this dynamic, you know, outward, upward intuition. Water is the inner feeling. Can't really give it a word or a voice, but it's my gut feeling. Okay? So let's look at that then also in terms of shamanic astrology. The upper, middle, and lower worlds. Yeah? The upper, middle, and lower worlds. Also then, the upper worlds deal with the upper chakras. The crown chakra, the 6th chakra, the 3rd eye, and the throat chakra. Yeah? So all of this is the upper. It connects us to the imaginative, to the outer, to the inspiration, to that which is above, to the light. It's light. It's outward. It's associated with the planets of Uranus and Neptune. Uranus and Neptune take us up, up, and away. Out, 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 out. We'll get more into that later. We would also say that it's fire and air because we're dealing with elements now. Then we have the lower chakras. Well, we have the heart, of course. The heart chakra, the 4th chakra in the middle, is the balancing factor between the upper and the lower. So, you know, it's the center. So, you know, it's the sun, very powerful. And it's also Venus. So we'll get into chakras, planets, all that stuff a little later. Right now, we're talking about earth and water associated with the lower realms, the lower chakras, the solar plexus, the 2nd chakra, the sacral, and the base root chakra. This is the lower down. In shamanic astrology, it's the underworld, okay? And that underworld, then, is associated with Pluto, Chiron, and Lilith, the deep, dark shadow knows. Pluto, Chiron, and Lilith. And of course, then we also have the middle realm. The middle world is that world of the ego, third dimensional, time, space, logic, rationality, duality, polarity. It's where we're all making our decisions, where we're spending the majority of our waking hours is in this world of the ego, unless you're meditating 24/7. Raise your hand if you're meditating 24/7. I don't see any hands out there. Okay, so, where was I? This is so bizarre, man. The middle realm is ruled by Jupiter, Saturn, and the moon's nodes. And these moon's nodes kind of, I don't know, the moon's nodes will kind of, will modify. We'll say Jupiter and Saturn for sure. The moon's nodes can kind of extend both, you know, into all three worlds. Yeah? Okay? So, let us just look at, I'm going to be going through the signs kind of in order, you know, but, well, oh yeah, cardinal fixed mutable. I much prefer Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. I don't know if that's on the horoscope interpretation guide or not. Cardinal, Brahma, creative, outward going, initiative, start, begin, create, do it, go for it, make it happen. That's cardinal. Fixed, Vishnu, maintain it, sustain it, keep it going just the way it is. It doesn't need to change. Deepen it, go inward. Yeah, just really make it fixed. Mutable, Shiva. Shiva is the destroyer, the mutator. Wipe this out so something new can come in. Take Rome and change it. Yes, you know, demolish it. You know, Greece rises up and merges into Rome. Rome rises up, you know, merges into England. England rises up, merges into the United States. United States rose up, gave way to Japan. Japan rose up, gave way to China. We've got this whole wave of things coming and going, mutating. Power mutates. Energy mutates. Form basically mutates. So evolution is this process of mutating, of creating, holding something up and destroying. You can see it in the passage of the year. Okay, the plant rises up, and then it, you know, it forms its, you know, firmness, and then it buds, blossoms, and then it dies and lets go, you know, in the fall, and the seeds come out, mutates, okay, and then gives way to the next cycle of flowers. So this is all just a study of nature. Astrology is the study of nature, among other things. Human nature, nature, inner nature, outer nature, the nature of color, the nature of humor. No. Okay, so what we've got then. Shiva gives you the feeling of destruction, and you know the images of Shiva, Kali, and Durga are rather threatening and scary to a lot of people. That's not to say that Gemini, Virgo, Sag, and Pisces are not scary. They can be. I know some of them who are. No, just kidding. But this mutating does not have to be scary, and it doesn't have to be dramatic, and it doesn't have to be, you know, violent. Okay, so the mutable signs also can be this You know, it's the chameleon that gradually changes colors, and it can be a very peaceful, beautiful process of improvement, of, you know, of growth and expansion through mutation. So it's and of course Shiva also. If you look at, if you are into Shiva and you study Shiva, he is also the creator god. So there is the new creation that comes out of the mutation. And after every death, we know there is a resurrection. In astrology, there's no death. There is only the transformation from one state of existence into another. So, now we have gone through the 4 elements. We have gone through the 3 modalities. And we'll start now with the signs. Yeah? We're doing great. Get all that in there. Oh. Okay. Now, we're going to start with Pisces, because Pisces is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. It is mutable water. It is infinite change. In the northern hemisphere, it is just before the spring equinox. So this Pisces, where we were in the age of Pisces, Christ said that he was the Alpha and the Omega. This beginning and the end contains within it infinite potential. So Pisces, oh yeah, before I get into Pisces, sorry about that. Yes, I could have written an outline, however, I like to just kind of flow. Oh, shit. So, see what you signed up for. The difference between the signs, planets, and houses. At each one of the archetypes, you've got fire, earth, air, water across the top, you've got the modes down the side, and then you've got Aries, cardinal fire, right? Under Aries is Mars, the ruling planet, and the first house, which is what Aries, the house that Aries rules in what we call the natural horoscope. So there's this natural horoscope that connects the signs of the zodiac with the planetary rulers, planets that are associated with those signs, and then the 12 houses within the natal birth chart. And when we look at that, then what we have is 3 manifestations of a similar archetype. So when I talk about Pisces, okay, we can also look a little bit to Neptune. We can also look a little bit to the 12th house. But the way that we want to differentiate these, and before I get into the signs, I wanted to make this very clear. The difference between Pisces, Neptune, and the 12th house, okay, is basically, I look at it like a play, like a play. You have the light. The light will be the planet. We call it a psycho-spiritual function. Mercury, the psycho-spiritual function of Mercury is our left brain analytical thought processes, called the lower mind. You know, the psycho-spiritual function represented by Mars is our urge to penetrate, to go forward, reproduce, our sexual urges, our impulses, our desires that drive us forward into the world. That's a psycho-spiritual function. Each one of these planets is a psycho-spiritual function. We'll get into the planets later, but that is like the light. And then the light is filtered. Yeah, we have the color of the light for the play. We're talking about the play now? Yeah. So, you know, the color of the light is totally different. We've got 12 different lights, 12 different colors, 12 different shades. Okay, so that we have this situation of Mercury in Pisces. The way a person thinks in Pisces is totally different than the way a person thinks when they've got Mercury in Leo, or Mercury in Libra, or Mercury in Aries. So each one of these psycho-spiritual functions, each light has its own color. Okay? So today, and for our first 3 sessions, we're talking about the filters. We're talking about the colors. We're talking about, what takes that energy, and it's basically how we think, how we act, how that psycho-spiritual function is working for us. We don't need to get into that whole thing now. Basically, it's not working for us. We created our charts. We are infinite spiritual beings that created these charts. How we chose to have, Mercury reflect our planetary sojourn this lifetime. Let's put it that way. We have to take responsibility for ourselves in every way, shape, and form, and not be putting anything outside of us. Hopefully we all know the planets and the signs and the stars are not doing anything to us. This is not cause and effect. This is not Newtonian physics going on here. All right? Carl Jung called it synchronicity. It's as above, so below. It's the mirror effect. We're looking at the outer. It's reflecting the inner. It's not, we're not doing anything to the stars, and the stars aren't doing anything to us. That's just immature. Okay, so I was on the stage. You have the planet is the light, the sign is the filter, and the house is the stage where it happens. So the planet is the what, okay? The sign is the how, and the house is where. So we're going to, today we're dealing with the how, and and then we're going to deal with the planets, and then we're going to deal with the houses last. And then, we're going to put them all together. It's very simple. Okay. Oh, I see a bunch of thumbs up over there. That's very nice. Oh, look at that. Okay. You guys who came in late, there's My Mood. You can go on to My Mood, and you better not give me a thumbs down, or I'll just start to cry. Not do these anymore. But you can give a thumbs up. And, oh, there's a thumb. John, stop it. Okay. All right. Now, to go on. So you got that now, right? So when we talk about Pisces, there will be things you can look at where Pisces, what house Pisces rules in your chart. That's like where you are connected to the infinite potential. And this is where Pisces acts in your chart. And then you can also look to the planet Neptune. Okay, and this Neptune is going to also give you, indications about where you are connected and how you connect to this infinite creative potential. And the 12th house. Okay, you can look at the 12th house. Planets in the 12th house. Planets that are moving through, transiting your 12th house. Okay, we'll bring up these types of things for you. But right now, so we're going to be just kind of, today we're looking at the general archetype, and obviously when we do the planets, I'm going to refer back to this. And when we do the houses, I'll refer back to this. This archetype of Pisces, Neptune, and the 12th house. How does it work? What is it about? Well, when you've got planets in the sign of Pisces, when you've got planets in the 12th house, the house that Pisces rules, These are places where you are, Pisces rules the crown chakra. This crown chakra, as it is opened, it opens us to our infinite spiritual self. There is no form. There is no shape. There is no security. There is no logic. There is no human kind of understanding. We're talking infinite here. So Pisces is chaos. Pisces is infinite potential and possibility with no form. So it is the dream. Okay? It's, you know, in very many ways, you know, so many people that are really locked into their ego and to this world are going to say it's, you know, bullshit. Doesn't exist. It's invisible. You don't, your dreams are just not real. Forget it. Get a job. Stop sitting around too much. Stop taking all those drugs. We're going to get to the drugs. Because Pisces, Neptune in the 12th house does have to do then with us wanting to connect, feeling that need to connect with our infinite spiritual being, with our infinite spiritual self. And obviously when we incarnate, it's unity. It is total unity. It's very powerful now because Neptune has returned to the sign of Pisces for the first time in 165 years. And as of last February, I believe, it came into Pisces. And it's going to stay there for 14 years. This is a very powerful time of us reconnecting as a species to the infinite spiritual nature of the human being. It's absolutely beautiful. And when we take that first breath, they cut the umbilical cord. Sometimes they give you a whack on the butt and get you to cry. You are separate. You are alone. You came into this world alone and you go out of this world alone. Some people say. At least in a physical. Let's just look at the physical dimension. You are alone. So we all feel this sense of longing, the sense of separation, and the sense of abandonment. Isolation can lead to the sense of emptiness when we are not in touch with, when we are not, I don't want to say connected to, but if you're not meditating and you're not praying, or you're not, in some way, shape, or form connecting with the invisible, spiritual, creative forces of the universe. I like intelligence, infinite intelligence. It's a lot better than God. I got issues with God. Anyway, but when we are in our ego, when we are in our separate self, then there is this longing, this sense of emptiness, this sense of wanting to just sleep and dream and reconnect to that infinite source. So Pisces has to do with addictions. All forms of addictions are ways of filling that emptiness, of filling that longing that we all have to really feel connected, united with all that is. Not just my partner, my lover, my parents, or my children, or my garden, or my dog, or my cat, but all that is. So when we look at addictions, there are socially accepted addictions like work, books, the internet, movies, iPhones. There's okay addictions. I think relationship addictions in some cultures are, you know, oh yeah, good, good, good. Not single, are you? Because if you're single, there's we want you in a relationship. We want you dealing with the same shit we're dealing with. No, whatever. Anyway, but there's different forms. Sex. I wonder if there's a society that actually sex addiction is a acceptable thing. That might be nice. But anyway, you see what I'm saying? There are addictions that people say, go to work, read a book, do these things. We all basically fill our waking hours with some activity, with some form, of action, and occupy our minds with something. So that, we all have addictions. We're all addicted to something that gives us this sense of connection. My job. For me, doing astrology, okay? I'm addicted to astrology. It gives me a sense of being connected to the infinite. So we're all, and if I do too much astrology, I get way out there. And people have a hard time relating. No, we don't need to get personal here. So, but we will say that there are these addictions that basically, if you're, I like the Buddhist path of the middle way. You're not doing too much astrology. You're not doing too little of this, too much of that, too much of the other. Moderation in all things. Yeah, you want to complete the whole spectrum, all 12 signs. Hopefully, you've got 12 different addictions, and you balance them all, and you do each one of them for 2 hours every day out of the 24. So that would mean that you sleep 2 hours a day, because Pisces is sleep and dreams, and that would be 2 hours a day. So if you sleep more than 2 hours a day, you need to look at that, folks. This is all brand new material being channeled directly to you from, okay, anyway. A lot of us have to sleep more than 2 hours a day. Don't judge yourself and get down on yourself just because I said that. Oh, God. So, you get it? Addictions. They take us, they give us that feeling of connection. However, there are unhealthy addictions. So, people with strong Pisces, strong 12th house, strong Neptunes, okay? And we'll define what strong is. I guess now, strong is, that's way off topic. We'll get to it later, okay? But if you have, if you have a lot of planets in the 12th house, if you got, a lot of planets in Pisces, or Neptune is on the ascendant midheaven, conjunct the sun, moon, surrounded by a whole bunch of other planets, you got a strong Neptune. If you have if you have this archetype as a strong dynamic in your life, in your chart, okay, then your tendency is to want to escape, want to connect, reconnect, escape this mundane, boring, dull, earthly, even mental, or even overly emotional, overly physical, overly mental, it's like, too much of this other stuff. I want to go home. E.T. phone home. This is Pisces. Let me out of here, please. You just got that going on. So, you can do that. And the way that manifests, can be either healthy for your physical body, such as jogging, yoga, meditation. We do have these healthy astrology. Just put a little plug in there for what you're doing. We can have these healthy addictions, or we can have the not so healthy addictions. I can't live without you in your body. I need money, 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 money. Work, 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 work. I don't have time for anything else, and all that. We have these other, the other. We have the bad addictions, the drugs, the alcohol. Give me another shot. I'm feeling better all the time. I feel one with all of you. However, you know, these things not done in moderation, and some of them even, you know, it's better to not do at all, period, because they break down your body. They break down your sense of self. And let's define that sense of self a little bit. Well, we have an ego. We need our egos. The idea of getting rid of your ego is like suicide. According to, obviously, this is all my opinion. But, you know, the ego, Christ had a big ego, Buddha had a big ego, Martin Luther King, Gandhi, you know, Joan of Arc, you know, anybody who's done anything has a big ego. Okay? The ego is the control tower for this third-dimensional physical body. It keeps us alive. It maintains our health. It's very Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus. It's very, it is this earth, air aspect of ourselves that keeps us jogging, that keeps us eating and dieting and healthy and vibrant, and channels that spiritual energy from the infinite cosmic potential onto planet Earth, into third-dimensional reality, you know, into our relationships. We've got that ego. So, you know, but in Pisces, there's no ego. There's no self. There's no me. Okay, me comes later. Pisces is our infinite spiritual self. No walls, no boundaries, no limits. So, as such, it can be pretty scary, pretty dangerous territory. Now, can it? This is where we get into martyrdom. This is where we get into victimization. And look at it. Christ was a martyr. He brought in the age of Aquarius. Thank God we are saying goodbye to the age of Aquarius. We can also say goodbye to martyrdom, and we can say goodbye to victimization. We can say that, you know what, we don't have to suffer in order to connect with our infinite potential. We don't have to die. We don't have to be egoless. We don't have to, you know, really go through victimization and pain and punishment in order to be spiritual. That was kind of the old paradigm, the old school, the old age. We're moving out of that stuff. But when you got a lot of planets in Pisces, when you got a lot of, you know, there can be this tendency, okay, to not think of yourself and not be in your body and not be in your ego and just kind of, oh yeah, whatever, oh that's cool, you know, yeah, hit me again. Oh, you need some money, here's my money. Oh, that's right, I can't pay the rent. Shit. You know, you can forget about yourself. You can forget about your mortality. You can forget about your ego. You can do, and that's why they call the 12th house in the old astrology the house of self-undoing. You know, it's because there's no ego there. There's no real self there. You're so like, oh yeah, we're all one. We're all beautiful. We're all spiritual. We're immortal. We're never going to die. I'm never going to run out of money. I mean, if I run out of money, I'm sure somebody will give me some money, right? Yeah, maybe you. I don't think so. Doesn't happen. So Neptune and Pisces in the 12th house also deal with illusion. 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 It's the rose-colored glasses. I see what I want to see. I believe. I see the best in you. I see the best in America. I see the best in Russia, in India. I see the best in Hitler. I see the best in Saddam Hussein. I see the best in Al-Qaeda. I see the best and best and best and best. The rose-colored glasses. I see the best in my lover. Oh yes, my lover. My lover would never cheat me, lie to me, sleep with somebody else behind my back. Dot, 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 dot. Oh no. Oh, are you kidding? They're perfect. I love them. What's that black eye you got there? Well, they did lose it last night, but they're just a beautiful person. Yeah. This is the kind of stuff that can happen when we get overboard, when we go too far and forget about the ego, the self, the me, the my. On a physical level, then, of course, this immortality, this egolessness, this beautiful part, this beautiful aspect is the immune system. So that if you have a strong Pisces, a strong Neptune, a strong 12th house, you also are very sensitive. You have a weak immune system. You don't have lots of walls, lots of boundaries, lots of, what are they? The white blood cells, you know, that say, yeah, the destroyers, no way, you're not coming in here. I'm never going to get sick. I've got walls and boundaries. No parasites, no viruses, nobody's going to mess with this body. Well, I'll tell you, I don't have that going on. Come on in. Come on in. We're one. I love you. Love is all there is. And, you can make fun of all 12 signs, all right? It's whenever you get extreme, yeah, it's funny. So, I'm going to get to the good side. Does this have to do with the, yes, autoimmune disease? Most definitely, yeah. This is our immune system. And what you need to do is, if you got strong Neptune, Pisces, 12th house kind of thing, half doses of drugs, legal or illegal, half doses of alcohol. It takes you a half a glass of wine is the same as, 1 or 2 glasses of wine for everybody else, okay? And just laying out in the sun, your skin will burn faster than other people's. So, this immune system is, it's very powerful, it's very important, and that's why, Neptune's returned to Pisces now, since 2012 until 2024. We're dealing with our immune systems. We need to become really aware of what is affecting our immune systems, how to build up our immune systems, what our immune systems are actually doing, how our mental, psychological, emotional, spiritual state affects our immune system. Okay, this is this whole cellular, redefining, awakening, changing that's going on now. Our DNA, our immune systems are changing. And I would say, and let's look at the positive side of Pisces, okay? The positive side of Pisces. Just kidding. No, the positive side of Pisces is illumination, infinite love, and infinite creativity. Pisces is in touch with its extrasensory perception. It's the subtle energy. It's the psychic healer. It's the mystic. It's the medium. It's the one who knows, who feels into your, oh yes, I feel you have liver problems this morning. Yeah. That subtle energy, that attunement to the subtle levels. It's the I'm feeling connected with this whole circle of people. I'm feeling connected with the whole planet. Whoa, I'm feeling connected with the whole cosmos. Om. More ohms, please. It's absolutely beautiful. It's samadhi. It's nirvana. And there's no walls, no boundaries, no separations, no immune system, okay, when you get into these states. And that's why part of Kundalini Yoga, part of the yoga that we do, strengthens the aura, strengthens the magnetic field. You do your yoga and then you meditate. You don't just meditate without doing the yoga. You don't just do the yoga without meditating, except in America, because that's kind of American. Oh yeah, we'll just do it. The whole purpose of yoga was to prepare the body to meditate. So like to do yoga without meditating is like, don't get me started. I'll talk for 2 hours on, no. Okay. Back to Pisces, okay. So we have this autoimmune system, we have it's the boundaries, it's the ego, it's no boundaries, it's no ego, it's that interface between the self and the universe. So the upside of it is music, dance, art. I'm feeling inspired. I am feeling, right? I said Neptune and Uranus is this upper world in shamanic. Yeah, in the shamanic world, it's the upper world, the celestial world. I'm feeling connected, and that connection inspires me and gives me, this painting. Inwardly, I just heard the music of the spheres. My name is John Lennon. He had a Mercury-Neptune conjunction. Yeah. So, when you come in with creative inspiration, this year it's coming from Pisces. It's coming from that collective intelligence. In a lot of ways, the gray matter of our brain is just a big wound-up antenna. Live in Hawaii with these cockroaches, you got these antennas. They are tapped into the collective thought. So Pisces, Neptune in the 12th house has to do with the collective unconscious. A lot of strong Pisces, Neptune, 12th house. You are connected to the collective unconscious, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, till death do you part. Yeah, you don't have the same kind of immune system, the same kind of boundaries, the same kind of walls of separation that other people have. And the plus side of it is that you can be creative, artistic, a beautiful, big, open, loving heart, okay? And the downside of it is that you can forget about yourself and forget about your body, get taken for a ride, and be an innocent sheep that is led to slaughter because you're so devoted and so compassionate that you don't put out any boundaries, laws, rules, or restrictions. Or that you feel so disillusioned with the hard, cruel, tough world of third-dimensional reality that you shoot up and drop out and die in the gutter. Let that sink in a little bit and just feel that polarity. Feel into that outlet. It's good to just meditate on each one of these 12 signs and ask. Ask to feel that energy, that sign. And let's face it, like I say, just because you have a strong or weak, okay, lots of planets in or no planets in, don't sit there and go, oh, I don't have any planets in the 12th house, I don't have any planets in Pisces, and Pisces, rules my, 11th house. does that mean that I'm blah, 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 blah? And it's like, no, 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 no. Does that mean that I'm never going to be creative or artistic, or I'm not connected, and or that I have a big ego and blah, blah, blah? No. No, no, no. Because everybody's got a Pisces somewhere. Pisces ruling the 11th house is like, you know, wow, that's amazing. We'll get in. You know, we'll get into the houses, but that's like connecting, you know, your third eye, 11th house, Uranus, you know, with your crown chakra, and Pisces really, you know, wherever Pisces falls in your chart, that, you know, we are all connected. We all have that infinite capacity, spiritual nature. Everybody's got a Neptune, okay? So, you know, Neptune is probably aspecting other planets. And Neptune is in a house. So you could have Neptune in the first house. That's a strong Neptune. The angular houses are considered the strong houses. It's, you know, they're called the, I forget, cadence. Got any astrology or something? Anyway, first, 4th, 7th, and 10th, okay, are these, the cardinal houses, okay, and they have to do, okay, you know, they're very powerful, okay, so you could have Neptune in the first house, Neptune in the 7th house, or 10th house, or 4th house, and it's still, this archetype that we're talking about is going to be dominant, you know, within your chart, okay, and even though you may not have any planets in the 12th house, okay, planets will transit through your 12th house. Saturn will spend 2.5 years in your 12th house. The sun goes through your 12th house for a month every year. So, you know, you may not have something in your natal 12th house, but your 12th house is always being activated. It's always being triggered. And we'll get into that with progressions, solar arc directions, okay, and other, you know, ways of, you know, progressing the birth chart, you know, so that 12th house will, you know, always be activated somehow, sometime, somewhere. So that is this archetype of Pisces, and I could, you know, obviously we could go on and on about Pisces for this whole time. However, I'm very sorry to all of you Neptune Pisces people. We have to move on to Aries. Yeah, because we have a schedule to attend to. We are not in infinite time. We do not have a forever. So the dream must end. And it ends with Aries. Okay. Boom, Aries. Okay. This is kind of fun. I'm having a good time. I hope you guys are having a good time. Oh, good. There's more thumbs up over there. Yeah. Okay. So, what happens? You know, one sign gives way to another. One season gives way to another. One life gives way to another. Yeah. So Pisces gives way to Aries. It's the natural flowing evolution of all that is. All that is all that is. There is nothing outside of all that is. One of my favorite quotes from Bashar, extraterrestrial channel, Bashar.com. Awesome, awesome guy. Daniel channels in his future self. Instead of saying God, we can just say all that is, because all that is all that is. And all that is evolving. It's evolving. And here we'll get a little shot of Virgo, the Virgo-Pisces axis. We can also look at polarities. We will a lot more as time goes on. But one thing about Virgo-Pisces axis, okay, is the desire for perfection. Both Pisces kind of envisions and visualizes and dreams the perfect dream, the perfect world. That's the rose-colored glasses. Everything is perfect. You're perfect. I'm perfect. We're all perfect. Let's have another drink. Just kidding. Let's have another Om. A Virgo will like, okay, that's not perfect. We'd like to fix this and change that and modify that, and I'm going to get involved and make it frickin' perfect. Okay? But, you know, the whole thing is that all that is God, Goddess, Creator, Source, is evolving. So perfection is evolving. So what was just perfect a minute ago is no longer perfect. This is perfect. And what's coming, is perfect. But it's always going from perfect to imperfect, back to perfect to imperfect, back to perfect. There's no steady state of perfection. And that's where Virgo can get a little lost. Okay? Seeking to get the state of perfection can really, but once Virgo sees that God is evolving, perfection is changing, they can balance themselves with Pisces. Okay? And Pisces, of course, can balance itself with Virgo. We'll get a little more into it. You should never just say, I don't like to say we'll get into something later, because then if I don't get into it later, somebody's going to go, Tom, you said you were going to da-da-da-da-da. So whenever I say we're going to get into something later, I have to change tracks and get into it now. Yeah? So let's look at it. Even though we're not at Virgo, we want to balance Pisces with Virgo. So, Virgo, it has to do with Earth, mutable Earth. These are both mutable signs. I'm going to change the Earth. I'm a sculptor. I'm changing it. I'm perfecting it. I am making it more beautiful than it was before I came along. That's Virgo. It's the supermodel. I'm looking good. I got the perfect body. I don't eat anything. Nah, just kidding. You don't eat, you can, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. So, but this idea, okay, that I'm going to work at it, I'm going to put effort. We talked about Pisces. Egoless, passive, dreamy, no will forces, no self. Okay, needs to balance itself with Virgo. I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to use my mind. It's ruled by Mercury. I'm going to use my thought and my thinking. I'm going to figure this out, and I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to make it happen. So we want to balance out, okay, the Pisces-Virgo axis, okay, and not get too lost in either pole. Not become obsessive-compulsive, like the Virgo energy can do, and not become, the dreamy, nomadic, starving artist that the Pisces can do. So, balance. The middle way. One way or the other, along comes Aries. Along comes Aries. Aries, then, is all about starting, beginning, separation. Aries is ruled by Mars. It's associated with the first house. So we're talking about you. If you've got strong Aries, okay, that's a strong Mars. Mars on the ascendant, Sun, in Aries. Moon in Aries, you're coming from Aries. Aries rising, you're going towards, you're learning how to do Aries, this kind of a stuff. We're into this Aries archetype now. It's cardinal fire, Brahma fire, creative fire. Start, begin, penetrate, charge, go forward, into the new, pioneer, scout. I'm done with Pisces. Okay, I'm emerging out of the infinite primordial chaos, and I am defining myself. I'm cutting the crap. Mars in Aries has to do with the sword quality. The scalpel, the surgeon, cuts. So we're doing surgery here. The soldier, the warrior, cuts. Okay? The scout cuts, you know, with the machete through the jungle, making a path. So this cutting, Mars, Aries, energy, cuts loose from that chaos of Pisces, from that infinite potential into emerging, how do they do it? Aries has to do with birth. Yeah, you know, it's, yeah, and it gets pushed. It's the impulse. And what is this impulse towards individuation, towards separation, towards the new beginning? It is desire. Mars is what they call in astrology the lower octave of Pluto. And we'll get into the planets later, but Pluto, you know, has to do with the soul. Pluto is symbolic of the soul in evolutionary astrology. Mars being the lower octave of Pluto is desire. We know that we have a soul because we have desire. Mars taps us into Pluto. Our desires tap us into our soul. Our soul, well, it has a dual nature, according to Jeffrey Green, one of my teachers. Yeah, the dual nature of the soul is the desire to separate from the source that created it, and the other dual coexisting desire is the desire to return to the source that created it. Like the wave upon the sea, the wave comes up, separates, individualizes, and then returns back down to the primordial ocean of unity. So, we, infinite spiritual beings, come down, or let's say we come up, like the wave, we come up, okay, out of the ocean of primordial unity, and we break into whitecaps, you know, huge breakers like on the beach, where the foam and the white comes out and the, you know, chunks of water, you know, drops of water separate totally from the ocean before going back in. Yeah? Okay? So that is the Aries impulse, the desire to separate, the desire to individualize, the desire to experience myself in a new way. We are each part of Creator. As we evolve, Creator evolves. So each life that we have, the more freakish, unusual, inventive, innovative, and creative we can be. I mean, it's like we are the fingers of God reaching out to expand into the unknown. The more into the unknown each one of us goes, the more into the unknown the whole frickin' thing goes. And we'll just see where that goes. Okay. Getting kind of philosophical here. This is just astrology, I mean. Okay. So, I'm sorry, I looked at the chat box. I should not do that because yeah. So, separation and desire. I was on desire. Mars, Aries. The archetype of Aries is the beginning, the separation, the pioneer, the start, the penetration. And so what are we doing? On another level, let's take it to another level. Okay? Like I say, we come up out of this spiritual, infinite potential, into what? Separate physical bodies, animal bodies. We've come down onto planet Earth, and we've given ourselves bodies. And these bodies are animals, and we've got instincts, and we've got impulses. We've got sexual instincts, sexual impulses. We're hungry. We get thirsty. And we want this, and we have this desire, and we have that desire and the other desire. So we have these instincts, we have these impulses, and they originate from the soul, Pluto, through Mars. But Mars is the desire, so we've got these desires. So Mars, Aries, first house, is this yang, masculine energy that wants to come out, that wants to hunt, reach out, take what is mine. And it may have been yours, but it's mine now because I am stronger than you. I mean, let's face it, man. On some levels, this animal world is prey and predator. Yeah? And, you know, we look at it, we come into this world out of Pisces, out of the infinite, into this world of polarity, into these physical bodies where we are in a third-dimensional world. There is polarity. We are either alive or we are dead. Yeah, I mean, hello, it is or it isn't. Okay, so you know, Aries comes in, and you know, it is this very powerful impulse. So it is the sexual desire, and you know, Mars in particular, the planet Mars, has so much to do with the expression of our physical sexual impulses and instincts. And not only sexual, but like I say, also hunger, also the desire to penetrate into the unknown, to initiate something new. And here's a very, you know, important aspect of Aries, first house, and Mars. It's very primal. It's very unconscious. You get into, you know, you get into the other future signs, planets, you know, houses. You get more consciousness, more ego awareness, more self-consciousness. We are here at the instinctual level. And so here we have to give a plug for Aries, just like we want to give a plug for Pisces. We want to encourage Pisces to dream, to be the artist, to be the musician. With Aries, we actually want to give them a plug and say, yeah, follow your instinct. Show us how. This is the mystery school of will, of want, of how to make it happen. Yes, it does have to do with anger. I don't like this the way it is. That's it. I want to change it. I've had it. I've had it with you. I've had it with you. I've had it with you. I've had it with this. I've had it with that. I'm out of here. I'm gone. Something new. Something different. That's how America got discovered, right? You know, Columbus, I don't know what his sign was, but I'm sure he had a strong Mars. Okay? Mars is the military. Mars is the officer. Mars is General Patton. You know, it's the soldier. It's the charge. It's the conquer. It's the go into the unknown world and discover. It's the gold miner. Okay? It's, you know, it's... We wouldn't have anything new going on if it wasn't for Aries, Mars in the first house. This would be a dull, boring fucking planet, okay, without that stuff. So I know they can be seen as bulls in the china shop. Unconscious, narcissistic, egotistical, impulsive, just unconscious thugs that just, you know, smack you, give you a, you know, a shot in the face and think about it later, talk about it later, okay? But, you know, it's, how do I say, you know, we all have a Mars somewhere. We all have a first house. There is an instinctive, impulsive aspect to each and every one of us. And the idea is not to suppress it, deny it, avoid it, call it unspiritual, judge it as ignorant, but rather to understand it and integrate it. I like the picture of the deer. You know, the deer is an animal. The deer is instinctive. But it's graceful, it's beautiful, it's gorgeous, okay? And it follows its instinct. Now the beauty of that animal nature, as long as I'm on the deer, it just reminds me of this, you know, part that is, you know, animals are also in acceptance of death. If you really think about it, they don't have the ego. They don't have the fear of death. This instinctive hunter, conqueror, Aries energy that just charges, okay, in some ways has no fear. And, you know, the quality that brings, you know, is the quality of, in some ways, trust. You know, the deer and animals will, if there's a drought and there's no food, you know, first of all, their instinct will lead them to the water, lead them to the green pastures, lead them to the food. Their instincts, they don't need to be analyzing or calculating anything or manipulating anybody. You know, they follow that instinct. But then they will also willingly accept, you know, there's a drought, there's no water, there's nothing to eat. The animal will accept the death. Yeah. And I don't know if any studies have been done, but, well, I'm not going to get into that. I was just thinking if a lion, you know, if a predator eats a prey, it's just what exactly, I don't know exactly how much the prey is going to accept death, but what I'm talking about is more about they accept their environment, the natural surroundings that the world gives them. So, I got off. It happens. You can't talk for 2 hours and just stay on track all the time. So, you have to give me a break there. Okay, so Aries. So we covered, you know, the impulsive nature, the unconscious nature, the will to penetrate, the desire body, the sexual nature, the anger. Let's look at anger and heat. Okay, this frustration. Now, you know, that Mars has to do with anger, but I don't say that it's only Mars. Mars has to do with the natural impulse and the natural instinct. When you connect Mars with Saturn, which is suppression and contraction and duty and responsibility and, you know, external authority and judgment, you know, restricting and judging and suppressing and denying that natural instinctive impulse, that's when you get anger. So it's Mars-Saturn's anger. Mars does not have to be anger. If we all were fully integrated natural beings, Mars would simply be our instinctive desire to begin, to start, to change, to initiate something that has not been before, or something that we need in our lives. Mars and Saturn. And Mars, thank you very much, whoever said that. Yeah, Mars is conjunct Saturn. Mars was just conjunct Saturn. It really pretty much still is for a little bit here. So we're really dealing with that. You know? So, you know, when you connect these two archetypes of Mars and Saturn, it's also Aries, Capricorn, Saturn in the first house, but we'll get into combinations of these things a little later on in our process. But for now, I want to just, you know, wrap up this idea of Aries and try to make sure that I have covered all. I mean, I'm never going to cover all aspects of Aries, just like I did not cover all aspects of mine. But let's also then look at it. I looked at Virgo a little bit. Well, if we're going to do Aries, let's look at Libra a little bit and look at that polarity and look how the extremes work, how the balancing works, and you know how they interact and coordinate with each other. Because Aries, like I said, some people, you know, the bad school, the bad rap of Aries is that it's selfish, narcissistic. It's all about me. And it is. The first house is me. I, me, my identity. Okay, who I am. I am. I simply am. I exist. This is the first house. And this is Aries energy. Now, predominance of that energy, a predominance of Aries, a predominance of planets in the first house. You know, a strong, strong Mars on the south node of the moon, north node of the moon, you know, aspecting Pluto, aspecting the sun, moon, rising sign, blah, 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 blah. Strong Mars energy is this, yeah, I am, I exist, I'm going to take, or I want, I'm going to start, I'm going to initiate, I'm a conqueror, a hunter, I go, I'm a race car driver, I'm Paul Newman, you know, it's you know, it's the race car driver, it's the athlete, and it's about winning, and it can get into competition. It's also the surgeon, you know, so even healing, you know, and healers, you know, can have a very strong Mars quality, because we all, you know, it's like we all need this Mars quality. When you get too much of it, though, and here's where I always encourage people with a lot of Aries energy, people with a lot of first house and Mars energy, basically to attach your will or your desire, your Mars energy, to something that cannot be accomplished in this lifetime. Yeah? End world hunger. Yeah. Make sure everyone has a home. Get rid of the homeless. Okay? You know, stop, fight cancer. You know, join Greenpeace. Take your individual personal will and hook it onto a collective need, a collective will, because this is the other side of Aries. Aries is also the guard at the gate, the protector. So a very positive, strong use of this energy is to protect those who can't protect themselves, feed those who can't feed themselves, clean up the planet like, you know, the artists or the dreamers aren't, you know, so good at, or whatever, yeah? You know, it's like, and it's also a means of getting out of, if Aries does not have a larger will or a larger cause to fight for, then they will simply fight for themselves. And I think that's where violence comes in, and that's where danger comes in. And that's where, you know, probably karma comes in too. You know, if you don't have something, then you're just out for me. And it is very narcissistic, selfish, I, me, my, I-centered, and to hell with you. To quote one of my favorite actors. No. Oh God! Well, at least a Martian, Conan the Barbarian. If you're not familiar with Arnold Schwarzenegger, he was Conan the Barbarian, and in his first movie that made him famous, to hell with you. I think that was Conan the Barbarian. Anyway, I don't know where this shit comes from. Where was I? Yes. So the protector. So Libra. Libra is the other, okay, be it the spouse, the partner, the business partner, the enemy. Libra is the other. It's taking into account the other. So Aries can get too lost in self, okay? Yeah, Tarzan, good one. Tarzan is another one. So, Libra is, well, it's ruled by Venus, and it has to do with there is somebody else out there besides yourself. So, your self-centered, impulsive, instinctive nature needs to be balanced by a sense of cooperation, compromise, listening. Aries acts, Libra listens. Yeah, Libra is balancing the scale, between myself and the other. So we'll get into Libra when we get into Libra. I want to get into Taurus now before we run out of time. Yeah? So, Taurus. Aries gives way to Taurus. The fire of Aries, cardinal fire, gives way to fixed earth, Taurus. Yeah? And Taurus is fixed earth, like we say. Vishnu. Sustain, maintain, endure, persevere, uphold, get your shit together. Yeah. I mean, if Aries is, the hunter, right? Okay, Taurus is the feast. Aries brings down, brings down the antelope, okay? And Taurus absolutely enjoys and loves the taste of fresh. Okay, for the vegetarians out there, I should not get too carnivorous. I'm sorry. Well, I could use other, visualizations. It doesn't have to be violent. Let's say that the knight on the white horse comes and saves the maiden, and that's Aries. The knight on the white horse saves the maiden, and they come into Taurus, and they enjoy each other's presence and physical bodies. So Taurus is the 5 physical senses. That's what I was getting to. I was just trying to be interesting. Anyway, the 5 physical senses, what are they again? They are touch. Primarily, Taurus is touch. But then it's also taste. Taurus is the fine wine, connoisseur of the fine food. And the smell, the aromatherapy, the wine taster. It is a Pinot Noir 1998, I do believe. This is your Taurus. They slow down, take their time to smell the flowers. That's touch, taste, smell, hearing. These senses, and seeing. Taurus is ruled by Venus, Aphrodite, the standard of beauty. Aphrodite did not try to be beautiful. She simply is the standard of beauty. If you want to be beautiful, try to look like me. That's Taurus, man. Taurus is self-sufficiency. I've got my shit together. I take care of myself. I don't need you. I don't need this. I don't need that. I will find my own resources, my own talents, my own capacity. I'm it. And I gather. I receive. It's Venus. It's a feminine sign. The I Ching says the masculine is creative, the feminine is receptive. So Taurus is this earthly, physical, feminine self. We all have Taurus, Venus, a second house. So people that have a strong emphasis on this archetype are very physical. And they are also very self-sufficient. And they, so it gets into, I think of Madonna, the material girl. I'm the material girl. They like their money. Taurus can like, sensual, sexual pleasuring. This is where it can get also a little sticky because it is so physical. You put Mars in Taurus or something, here you have a non-stop, constant sexual impulse, instinct, and desire. Whatever you put in Taurus is like constant. It's there. It just keeps happening. If anything, Taurus can get stuck in the rut of doing the same old, same old, same old, same old, same old. All right, I'll stop. But you get the idea. Yeah. But you put Mars in there, and the other aspect of this is it's Earth, it's physical, the physical sensation. So you can have, when you mix Mars and Taurus, when you mix sex with bodies, Taurus in particular is the physical aspect of sex, which some will call hedonism, some will judge, as being, absolutely, what do they call that? There is sacred sexuality and profane sexuality. If we look at the devil card, yes, in the tarot, what is the devil? The devil is considering matter or the physical as all there is. In one way, shape, and form, of course. This is my take on the universe. It's that this is all there is. The one with the most toys wins. This is like the Satan. Okay, this is the devil. That it's just material and it's just physical. So there is that quality to the Taurus where sexuality can be just physical. Oh, that feels good. No, I don't need a commitment. No, I'm not. This is not love. Are you kidding? We just had a great orgasm together. That doesn't mean that I love you. Whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a minute. Okay. That's, Scorpio. The opposite of Taurus is water, emotion, emotional bonding, union, and connection. So this Taurus, like I say, if we look at the downside of Taurus, we would say that selfish, self-centered, I need my resources, my talents, my bodies, my money, can be very possessive in relationships. I got a new car, I got a new house, I got a new partner. They're mine. I do with them what I want. They do what I want, blah, 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 blah. It can get, out of hand a little bit, yeah. I think of Taurus as the castle. We all have a Taurus, we all have a second house, we all have a Venus. We all need a certain amount of self-sufficiency. Okay, we all need to get our own act together. Okay, so we do need to receive, but the castle, just look at the castle, the Taurus is the castle. I've got the treasure, okay, I got the goods, You know, I have the culture, I have the commerce, the business, the money. You know, the castle is like the center of the kingdom, you know, where things are happening and things are held and protected. So that's Taurus. The danger of Taurus is closing the gate to the castle. Because Scorpio is Robin Hood, his merry men, and the forest, where there's wild animals, there's wild things that can come in and threaten the castle, that can maybe take over the castle, that are bigger than the castle. So the thing about Taurus is it's the castle, and in a unhealthy manifestation of that energy, the gate is closed. It's masturbation. I take care of myself. I don't need anybody sexually, financially, emotionally. That's the downside of Taurus. Okay? The upside of Taurus is, yeah, you drop down that gate. You let in, you know, change. You let in Scorpio. You know, you let in the renewal, the new energy, the transformation. And then you balance that out. And your sexual union can become sacred, because it's not just about your orgasm and your two bodies and how good it feels, but that you're connecting on all chakras, and you got eye contact, and you're feeling the other person's soul, and you're uniting spiritually, and it becomes more than just this animal act. Yeah? So this is the Taurus-Scorpio situation. Yeah? Other aspects of Taurus. I don't know if I should leave time for questions, if I should just keep going with Taurus. Let's, you know, the other aspect of Taurus, again, you know, we're still in the first quadrant. You know, if you take the zodiac and you break it into 4 quadrants, okay, Aries, Taurus, Gemini. This is kind of, you know, Carl Jung had the 4 types, right? Instinct, feeling, thinking, sensation. So the first quadrant is instinct. Aries, I talked about Aries being, you know, just kind of instinctual. Well, you know, Taurus is the next best instinct to Aries, okay? Yeah, and Gemini is pretty darn instinct too. There's not, but what I'm saying is there's not a lot of consciousness in this first quadrant. Self-consciousness, self-awareness. First, second, and third house. Aries, Taurus, Gemini. Okay, Mars and Venus and Mercury, and not so much with the planets, but anyway. The idea here is that the bull, okay, the bull, the symbol of fertility, you know, lays out in the field chewing its cud, home, 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 home. I mean, it's got the horns that are connecting it, you know, to infinite, you know, space. But there is also this, like the bull in the china shop. You've got, you know, Aries can be very impulsive and unaware of other people outside of itself. And Taurus also can be very self-oriented, narcissistic, and not take into account other people, other people's needs, other people's values, other people's concerns. Yeah. So it needs Scorpio. The good side of Taurus, obviously, is it's the Garden of Eden. Scorpio is hell, the battlefield, conflict. Taurus, ruled by Aphrodite, is wanting beauty and peace, and that bull just sits in the field. I think of that kid's book, Ferdinand, you know? He is great. You know, it's just very content with the simple life. Taurus can be very much associated with simplicity. It doesn't mean a lot. it's self-sufficient. Takes care of itself. Okay. So, it's looking pretty good. Aesthetics, yes. Simple beauty. Taurus learns to walk, to eat, to grab things, right? Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And Taurus is also the builder. Yeah. Taurus wants to like take what Aries, Aries has this impulse or this vision or this pioneer, and think of the Wild West. The wagon trains go out west, and then Taurus comes along. Let's build some cabins, and let's build something. Let's establish. The positive side of Taurus is King Solomon's temple. It's the architect. It's taking that impulse and forming it into something that's going to last and that is stable and secure and solid, and it's going to feed us for the next so-and-so and so-and-so. Like when I look at a chart, you got Jupiter transits, right? Jupiter goes around every 12 years, And so it spends a year about, in your second house. Every 12 years, you get Jupiter coming through the second house. And I say to my clients, oh my God, you got Jupiter going through the second house. This is a great time to receive a lot of abundance. You can bring in the money. You can bring in the new talent, new capacity, let go of old ways of making an income, of old receiving or, old talents, and develop something new. And don't blow it. Don't think it's going to last forever. Jupiter is here in your second house for a year, and it's giving you the nourishment, the support, the fuel to last the next 10 years, right? Jupiter comes through that second house, and it says, here's a shitload of money. Now get out there for, Gemini, Cancer, third house, fourth house. You've got the, it's like, it's the gas station, Jupiter in the second house. You pull up to the gas station, you get a tank of gas, and then you take off. And there may not be another gas station for a while. I mean, not to say that you only make money 1 out of every 12 years. Don't get me wrong. There's lots of different factors, and let's gotta take everything I say as a grain of salt. None of it too seriously. So, but you get what I'm saying. Taurus wants to establish something, make something. The second house wants to get things together that are going to last for a long period of time. Yeah. Speaking of time, ding, 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 ding. All right. I'm looking at, we got a few minutes left here. So let's see how we're doing. We've got, we did 3 signs today instead of 4. Because I did a half-hour kind of introduction to what the hell is going on. So what we'll do next time is obviously go with the flow, because that's what we're doing through the whole seminar. And if you don't want to go low, then, sorry. We're flowing. But no, I'll try to do 4 signs next time, maybe 5 signs. But, we'll definitely cover all 12 signs within the first 3 sessions. And then we'll get on to the planets. So before I close today, I just want to say that I appreciate your understanding when it comes to communicating with me, because there are 70 of you and there is 1 of me. So, I appreciate your emails. I will try to read as many of your emails, answer all of your questions, as much of your questions, as possible. But if you email me in the subject line, please put webinar. Okay, and that way I can make a folder for webinar and direct all of those emails over to a webinar folder so that I can answer them in the best way possible. And I also have an assistant. I got a couple of helpers that are helping me out. So you may get help from somebody else if it's technical or it's about the webinar itself. Okay, so Jeannie is my helper, and then Jessica is also my helper. You may get a response from either one of them if it's and if they can't answer it, then they're going to forward it on to me. And I hope you understand that. I'm not trying to be a dick. Whatever. I'm just trying not to spend my entire life in front of this fucking computer. And I hope none of you are either, because that is too much Aquarius, too much Uranus, too much of the 11th house. So, okay. Yeah. Anything else? Should we be reading stuff? Thank you very much. I highly suggest you read The Inner Sky by Stephen Forrest. It's been a long time since I read it. He's awesome, and he goes through the signs, the planets, and the houses, and then he goes into aspects. Which, I mean, we'll get into aspects. Don't worry, but he goes into that, and. Jeannie is, look at your chat box, yes. So, Jeannie Pitt. Jeannie, do they have your email address? Maybe stick it on there. It's ibloomdrop@gmail.com. If it's technical and it's about the webinar that, I look too grainy, I'm also going to, I hope that the drag is not too small too big between my voice and the picture. I'm using internet now. I'm actually going to plug into an Ethernet cable, so the future seminars should be better quality, better reception. But where was I now? I lost my train of thought here. So, besides Stephen Forrest, The Inner Sky, for me, one of my Bibles of astrology has been Jeffrey Wolf Green's Pluto, Volume 1. Yeah, The Evolution of the Soul. The guy is phenomenal. Yeah, and I think it's back in print. It was out of print for a while. But he goes through the 12 basic archetypes. He talks about Pluto, and I use his method of using Pluto, the moon's nodes, and everything else. I mean, it's deep. A lot of people have a hard time reading it, and some people just don't like it. But whatever. And of course, his Volume 2 is also an awesome book. So those are the three main books that I would recommend for you to start with. What's the title? The title is Pluto, The Evolution of the Soul. There's Volume 1 and Volume 2. You want to start with Volume 1. Yeah, okay, good. Oh my God, time is up. All right. So I thank you very much. I look forward to talking at you again next week for 2 hours, and I'm going to stop the recording at this point. Aloha, namaste, so.